Good morning. How we doing today? My name is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit. Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to run through the hitting versus missing turn section of the Postflop workbook, looking at page 112 together. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So these problems are actually very similar to some of the ones you've already done. The major difference though is we're looking at turn cards, so a static flop and a dynamic turn. So let's just set this problem up in Flopzilla. Prompt for page 112 is, with blinds at 501k in a tournament, you open raise to 2.5k and only they call. They also call your 3k c-bet on the flop, okay? And we're assuming that they did so with this range. This is the range they get to the turn with. And let's just start throwing everything in. So we have queen of diamonds, queen of clubs, we have their range, which you can just grab right out of the answer key, copy that, paste it. Excellent. And what we are doing is a 10 of spades, 9 of spades, deuce of diamonds board, and we're dealing with a king of hearts on the turn. So that's the first one we're going to do. We're going to run through this top one, and then we're going to run through the turn being a 3 of clubs instead. And we're going to do this exact same table that you've already done a couple different times. So over pair or better, top pair plus, middle pair plus, and an 8 out draw or better. Open in a straight draw plus, which is also then going to include all of those weaker pairs as well. And then any gut shot plus. So same as always, you can do it two different ways, single color method or the multi-group method. I'm just going to do multi-group just to make life a little bit easier at first. Actually, let's just do it with a single color. So what do we got first? So over pair or better right this moment. Going to look down here. What do we got? We have 22. Perfect. Add top pair into the mix. Where are we at? 43. Add middle pair plus, which is also going to include pocket pairs below top card, which in this case doesn't exist, but if it did, that would also be included. And 8 out draws, so flush draws and open into straight draws. We're up to 77. Open into straight draw plus, which is also going to include the weak pairs. Now we're up to 93. Again, 92.6 just rounds up to 93. And any gut shot or better, so include those as well. And we're up to 100. So quickly, let's check the answer key, make sure we're doing everything correctly. 22, 43, 77, 93, 100. Perfect, everything's good, no rounding issues. And then when we're ready to go down to the next one, we're going to replace the king of hearts on the turn with the 3 of clubs. And we're going to do this exact same thing. So let's just rock and roll, start with over pair plus. Again, grab this number right down here. 13.6 rounds up to 14. Add top pair. We're up to 35. Add middle pair plus and the draws, flush draws, open and straight draws. We're up to 69. Add in the weaker pairs as well. Still at 69 because that's just not happening here. And then any gut shot or better, add those in, and we're up to 100% again. All right, let's double check the answer key again, make sure we got everything right. 14, 35, 69, 69, 100. 14, 35, 69, 69, 100. Perfect. Excellent. All right, now let's talk about what the heck this actually means at the end of the day. So the biggest takeaway if we're comparing both of these possible turn cards on this static flop is that with the king on the turn, there's a lot more kind of decently strong stuff happening for our opponent, right? A higher breakdown of top pair plus, right, with 43% on the king versus only 35 on the 3. And if we're looking at middle pair plus and 8 out draws or better, we have 77 on the king and only 69 on the 3. And just in general, you're seeing like just this stuff is probably just going to be stronger. It's going to be more comfortable continuing, and as such, it could be difficult with queens to generate a lot of value, whereas on the 3, we can be much more confident in that. And I also like to say, okay, well, what if I didn't have queens, right? So with queens, obviously, we're going with kind of like the overcard that fills up some draws, but it's also an overcard versus kind of the total brick to the board. And that's kind of the way that this section is set up. There's kind of like a card that plays and influences things a little bit more dramatically, and the other one's a little bit more brickish. That way you get this kind of look at, okay, how do things look on more of a brick card versus more of an action card? And obviously, if we have queens, it's a different story, but let's just say that we had a busted spade draw or something like that, right? I'm looking for situations where my opponent's just not going to continue a lot of the time. So if this person would only continue with, say, top pair plus if I potted it on the turn, well, obviously I'd much prefer it be that brick where they're going to be going away a larger chunk of the time. So that's kind of the way that you can start looking at this, not just, okay, when I have these static hole cards on this static board, on this dynamic turn card or next card, rather, okay, what if I had some other different variables, right? What if I had a different starting hand? How does that impact things? All right, can I find situations where there would likely be auto profit? And thinking about your bet size, right? The bigger bet size, yes, it has a higher break-even percentage, but by the same token, maybe it is actually getting folds from things like draws right this moment or things like weaker pairs right this moment. And that's definitely something you want to consider. So again, this whole point is not just to do raw data entry out of Flopzilla. It's how to look at that data and then figure out what the heck you can do with it to make better plays going forward. Because in real time, you're not going to be able to pull out Flopzilla and do this stuff, but if you have a good idea, if you have a better starting point than most, you can find tons of extra bluffs, tons of extra thin value spots, and really make sure that your post-flop play is much, much stronger and much, much cleaner. So hopefully that helps. If nothing else, you now know how to do all the exercises in this section of the workbook. If you have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, as always, good luck out there and happy grinding.